Okay. Welcome. Welcome. Oops. That was a dumb move on my part. Where's my camera? Uh, Sorry. My bad. Sorry about that. For some reason. Okay, just so you know, I am doing the two thing again. So keep that in mind. I didn't tell anybody I was coming. I decided that I was going to do this because I don't feel good. And you can tell by my voice that my voice is not doing great. And I figured if I waited until tomorrow, there was a big possibility that I would have no voice left. And that's not something I want. So give me a second because I'm just double checking that. No. Can I hear myself? Can I hear myself or not? Yep, I can. All right. So now that that's out of the way, good morning. Today is Saturday. Hello, Bookster. I like I said, I'm not. I didn't announce this, so I don't know if anybody's gonna know that I'm live. But I'm gonna try my best to say what I'm gonna say, and because of the voice, get out as soon as possible. I am doing both YouTube and TikTok, and yeah, I'm gonna say the words. Okay, I don't care who gets mad and who gets offended. I am doing both. Now, I'm going to talk for a second about the Met Gala because this is something that's been bugging me. Hello, I can't see. I'm warning you right now. I'm blind as a bat. So, Zekra and Tatiana, hi. I wanted to talk about the Met Gala for a second, but I'm not going to talk about the Met Gala, the fashion choices. If you want me to talk about the fashion choices as a Gen X watching the Gen Z, I'll be more than happy to do that. Just send me the one that you want me to talk about, and I'll make a dedicated video for that. Before you wonder why I did graduate from fashion school, so and I do work on retail with fashion. So now the reason why I wanted to talk about the Met Gala is because there is something going on, some rumors, some things in the air, and I think people get it twisted sometimes. Hi, Lydia. Hi, Izzy. Hi, Manuel. I think sometimes people get confused when they hear about the Met Gala and why are we wasting all this money and blah, 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 blah. And I just realized that I saved the screenshots on this one, so I can't find it now. If memory serves, a ticket to the Met Gala costs $75,000. A table for 10 costs $350,000. And you might be saying, what a waste of money. And the truth of it is, you are correct. It is a waste of money if you're not thinking clearly. If you're just thinking about the here and now, yes, you are correct. It's a lot of money. I am not one of those people that thinks that we should eat the rich because they shouldn't spend their money however they want. I don't care how they spend their money. I do, however, need you to understand a very simple fact that is getting lost in all this celebrity crazy themes and all this other stuff. So let's go back for a second on the Met Gala itself. The Met Gala itself started going on, I believe it was 1948, and I think Dinah Vreeland was one of the first people to tackle the Met Gala. And the idea is to generate income for the exhibition. Okay, every year has a theme, and one thing that I have complained a lot about is the fact that the theme. Hey, Dre. One of the things that I have talked about a lot is the fact that the themes seem to be getting worse and worse throughout the years. And I'm not talking about this year specifically. There are some years, and I have the list, so we're going to go through the list. But it kind of is more outrageous as the years go by. Let's call a spade a spade. Um, What happens is that if you don't know history, you tend to not think about art at all. And yes, fashion is absolutely part of the art world. If you are going to sit here and tell me that this is a waste of time and a waste of efforts and blah, 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 and resources, I'm going to give you a book and a movie by the same name. It's the same story, but I need you to go and watch them or read them, whatever you prefer. And it's called Monuments Men. Now, I don't remember what year Monuments Men came out. I do remember some of the men and the woman that were in the movie, but it was 2014. I thought it was 2014, but I wasn't entirely sure. It was George Clooney, Matt Damon. Oh my God, the guy from Bridgerton. It was Bill Murray. I'm trying to find the name of the guy from Bridgerton because he was one of the main characters. The father in not Bridgerton. I'm sorry, Downton Abbey. Oh my God, what's his name? Hugh Bonneville. There was also Kate Blanchett. There was a bunch of actors in this movie. I'm not going to tell you what the movie is about because if I tell you what the movie is about, then I tell you the point. And I don't want to do that. I want you to figure it out on your own. What I want you to understand is this. There is a reason why we try to preserve art, and it has to do with history. And in the climate that we're living in right now, that is something that has become a lot more important. I would compare it to books. It's just that simple. So this year, what is it called? The theme for this year, I'm going to have to go back and find it because unfortunately, like I said, I put it in here and then I'm like, ugh. The Met Gala theme for this year was Superfine Tailoring Black Style. Now I'm going to read you the little blurb because there's a point to my story. This exhibition, which will be on view from May 10th to October 26th, explored the importance of style and tailoring to the formation of Black identities in the Atlantic diaspora. The dress code for the event was tailored for you. Now, I don't know if you saw what happened, but there were some amazing choices, encouraging guests to interpret menswear, keep that in mind, menswear, and tailoring creatively. I do believe we've all seen Zendaya's choice, what she wore, and it was ridiculously beautiful, and it was definitely tailored. It is what it is. I was I thought it was beautiful. It turned out that somebody else showed up in a similar outfit, but Zendaya had it. Lupita Nyong'o had on a beautiful suit on. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. And she had the cape and the whole night. It was absolutely stunning. There were a lot of people that had some beautiful outfits. Even Rihanna, who once again is like huge because she's pregnant, she made that work for her. And, like it always happens. Yeah, a lot of people miss the theme. You're correct, Dre. And that's the thing. I understand that a lot of people think that fashion is useless and all this other stuff, but let me backtrack a second. You can always tell the economic era based on the outfits that people are wearing. You can always tell how the world is doing financially, how the world is doing historically at the period. If you see somebody in a flapper dress, you automatically think the 20s, the 1920s, not these 20s. If you see people with the flower child outfit, and we all know what that is, it's the 60s. There are certain things that go with certain times in history. And yes, I realize that I'm giving you part of the answer of why I sent you to go and look at the Monuments Men. But here's the thing. The Met Gala has been going on since 1948, which is almost 80 years. It is something that people, and the reason why I brought out the themes for years before is that they've had some really ridiculous themes that I'm sitting there like, no, personally, okay? We had this year, which was the Superfine Tailoring Black Style. Last year, it was Sleeping Beauty's Reawakening Fashion. Uh, I didn't. I thought it was boring. Karl Lagerfeld, A Line of Beauty, was in 2023. And let me be very clear about something. You might think whatever you want to think about Karl Lagerfeld, but my issue with the hate that Karl Lagerfeld gets is, oh, he was misogynistic, he was this, he was that. If you know the history of Karl Lagerfeld, all you see is, I don't know if you've ever been overweight and then all of a sudden you get rid of the weight. And some people say that your true personality comes out, and that is true in some occasions. But in other occasions, it's more of a, some people will become the bully that they were the victim of. And I personally believe that was part of what happened to Karl Lagerfeld. We also have a situation where we don't know where his brain was at the end. I honestly don't know. I follow Karl Lagerfeld since 1984, 83. And I saw the change. Was he always an ass? Yes, absolutely. Was he always speaking from the heart? Absolutely. And sometimes people confuse politically correct with speaking from the heart. On both sides. I mean, the person saying things and the person receiving the comments. Do I think that Karl Lagerfeld had a lot of issues? Absolutely. Do I think he had a big impact on the fashion industry? Really? Do you have to ask? And so, am I surprised? No. And when I reach you the 1980s, the themes of the 1980s, you're going to realize why the fact that one of the years was dedicated to a designer is not so strange to me. In 2022, they decided to do an American anthology of fashion. Now, let me be very clear. American fashion has had some amazing moments. I'm not going to lie about that. They have had some beautiful moments. They have had some historical things. But you have to understand that American fashion started way after the European fashion. Because even on the simple thought, we were a lot younger nation than they are. So were people kind of upset at some of the choices? Yeah. Am I surprised? No. 2020 was about time, fashion, duration. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but 2019 was camp, notes in fashion. Now, this is 1 year, and I don't know if Dre remembers, but 2019 was one of those years, just like this year, where people missed the brief. And I don't mean just the people going to the Met Gala, I mean the people watching it, because they didn't understand what camp was. If you want to know what camp is, go and ask RuPaul. Go and ask some of the drag queens that went to the Met Gala that year. Go and ask a little unknown movie maker called John Waters. You want me to tell you what camp is? The inspiration for Ursula, my favorite villain in The Little Mermaid. That's camp. Actually, Ursula kind of is camp. The original version of Cruella de Vil, if you watch the movie, actually, if you go through the Disney movies that are centered on humans, 101 Dalmatians, and I even want to say, not Maleficent, Sleeping Beauty, and definitely The Little Mermaid, you're going to see a lot of camp. It's a time capsule. Let's call it what it is. It's kind of like a time capsule, but I digress. Now, in 2018, we had the one Met Gala that offended me personally, and I'm going to get into this for a second. And it was Heavenly Bodies, Fashion, and the Catholic Imagination. And everybody and their mother decided to dress like the Pope. And I remember this because I love Rihanna, and I was really ticked off that she was dressed as a Pope. Not because I don't believe that women should be priests in the Catholic Church, that there should not be like a only men can be priests, but because I just thought the entire theme was very disrespectful to the Catholic Church. So was I surprised when I saw that these fools had the Catholic Church donating items for the exhibition? No, I was not. Because the Catholic Church, actually, church in general, is very much a political playground, and they're all a bunch of hypocrites. But people who are actually Catholics were very offended by this. Now, are black people offended by the theme of this year? Incredibly, no. I did not hear one person, and I looked, talking about appropriation. You know why? For two reasons. Number one, there is a difference between appropriation and appreciation. And number two, we're all hypocrites. We all get offended when we feel like it, not necessarily all the time. Which is why I've always had the stance that there's a big difference between cultural appreciation and cultural appropriation. And most of the things that we call appropriation are actually appreciation. But we want to get in the head of the person doing the act instead of actually asking the person what did they mean by what they did. It is what it is. So let me go back to the themes because I'm still in 2018. We had the Comme des Garçons, we had Manas and Machina, Fashion in the Age of Technology. That was another one that missed the brief by a lot. China Through the Looking Glass, another example of something that could have been considered cultural appropriation or cultural whatever. Charles James Beyond Fashion. I don't even know who Charles James is, so. But here we go. And I'm looking at a Vogue article, so I can tell you why I thought it was interesting. Every so often, the Met Gala will have a theme that is directly about a designer, like Alexander McQueen, Savage Beauty in 2011, or I'm looking, the House of Chanel in 2005. But then you go to 2001, it's Jacqueline Kennedy, the White House years. And then you go down to the beginning of the 80s and you have 1 year. Well, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. In 1997, it was Gianni Versace. In 1996, it was Christian Dior. In 95, it was Haute Couture. And then I don't have the other years, and that was not the point of this video. But what I want you to understand is that I've seen the difference between, and you have to remember, like I said in the beginning, the tickets currently, hi Mama J, the tickets currently are $75,000 per person. And that money, once it covers the expenses of putting the Met Gala together, goes to benefit the Met exhibition. Okay? You can sit here and say whatever you want about all these people spending all this money, and like I said, you might be right, but you also have to think about the fact that if you notice a theme on the Met Gala situation, it was always two things. It was either a designer, it was a historical point. I seem to remember there was a year when they did the 1920s. Because I keep thinking I saw Rihanna with the little flapper dress but I can't find it now. It is a reality that it is a lot of money regardless, but that's why I said that if people want to complain about the expenditure of money to save the arts, they need to watch Monuments Men. Either watch the movie or read the book. There is a reason why this is being done. There is a reason why museums are important, why art is important. And it has to do with history. And it has to do with the fact that whoever controls the art controls the erasure of history, much like books, which is why I compared it to books. There is a reason why some, I'm trying to see how, some milky uh, white people have a big problem with their little statues being taken down. But you know what's ironic? I have a problem not with taking them out of where they are. I don't think they should be where they are. But do I think there's a place where certain statues should be left? And the reason why they should be left is because once you erase it, then they can deny it. And that works both ways. I don't care if it's broken. Can you lower your voice? I'm in the middle of something, ma'am. Anyway, the bottom line is this. The people who control history are the people who control the arts and the books. Think about PBS for a second. I'm losing my voice, I'm telling you. Sorry about that, but I am losing my voice. I'm trying to do this as short as possible. In the last 9 minutes because I'm really not going to spend more than 30 minutes. Think about PBS for a second. If you haven't seen, and I am not going to sit here and get into the argument about AI or not. That is something that's coming later on the channel. But let's not argue about AI right now because I thought this was very well made. There is an AI video running around with the characters of Sesame Street being homeless with signs in their hand, talking about this is all about the big F funding, which we all know that's not what they mean, but they did a PC for obvious reasons. It is very well made. In the main building for Sesame Street, they have it all boarded up, and the caption reads, future home of the Trump Hotel or something like that. It is hilarious and heartbreaking at the same time. And I need you to understand there is a reason. I'm just trying to figure out how to have everything running at the same time because I have TikTok on the phone and I have you in the computer. And until I figure that part out so that I can, and I know it has to do with StreamYards, I'm aware, but excuse me. But when I figure that out, yes, I would. Oh my God. Anyway, I need to hurry up because I'm about to go. The thing about it is, and the thing that you have to understand is, think about this for a second. PBS is not just about teaching children, which is really important, because every other channel has children's TV, but it's all cartoons and silly things, fun things for the kids to be entertained and mindless. Are you serious right now? But by the way, it had been quiet the whole morning. But PBS has the actual educational programs. There's very little educational programs outside of PBS. That's one. Number two, there's a lot of very little education on art because think about A&E. A&E used to be all about educating people. What is it now? Bravo, when it started, it was about educating people. What is it now? The Learning Channel, TLC. That's what TLC stands for, the Learning Channel. What is it now? None of it is about teaching you anything that you can really use. Is it teaching you how people behave so that you realize that rich people are just as stupid as we are? Absolutely. And is that something that's really going to empower you and help you in your life? No, not really. And I'm going to give you a second one. And with that one, I'm going to try to end it. Thank you, Trey. It's about losers for the most part. Correct. It's about showing us that we're all big losers. But anyway, the second thing I'm going to tell you, and you can actually verify that I'm not lying to you, is find out who owns the artwork right now and where is it. You are going to be very surprised and shocked if you don't know this one. I'm going to give you a hint because, again, I want you to look it up. There are banks, for lack of a better word, that sit in the middle of nowhere with tons of security and climate control environments, and where millionaires and billionaires buy the most important pieces of artwork of in history, and they just go and sit them there. They're not in a museum. And mind you, a museum would be the perfect place because they can keep it, make sure that it stays. I mean, the way, I don't know if you've ever seen how museums work, but they would fight to the death to keep that artwork in the best condition possible. Okay? No, they're not giving it to the museums. And by the way, when a millionaire or billionaire gives it to a museum for exhibition, he still owns the piece. It's on loan from so and so. Number one, and number two. Hi, Emmy. How are you doing? It's not only the fact that they are on loan, so they still belong to the rich person, but it's also the fact that they get tax deductions for doing that because they're donating time wise their artwork for a particular purpose. But no, the millionaires and the billionaires of today, they have them saved in some bank like uh, building where nobody can see it, not even them, if you think about it, because who's going to travel? If you live in the United States, are you really going to travel to Switzerland every 6 months to look at your painting? I saw the interview with one of the managers of one of those buildings once, and they asked them how many times do these people come to see these pieces of art, and they said never. Because they have a life and they have other things to do. Why would you buy something so precious and so important and then keep it hidden? It could be the same reason why they want to eliminate Sesame Street and learning things, PBS from the air. Could it be the same reason why we are limited in what we're allowed to see and read and watch? I'm going to end it with this because I have 2 minutes and 3 seconds left. You guys know that I collect books and that I have a million books, and I have a lot of books that are artwork based. If you want me to make content based on the old artwork and give you the original version of the story, I'm not talking about the PC correct version of the story. If it's a bad story, it's going to be a bad story. If it's a good story, it's going to be a good story. I can do that. It's probably not going to be it might be in this channel because at the end of the day, that is commentary. But we need to start paying attention to things that it doesn't matter if it's the left or the right. They don't want us to think about. I have never seen any politician on either side talk about the importance of museums and education unless it's a great political point for them to use. That should bother you. This is why I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, because I see the flaws on both sides, which is something that some people don't. Some people get so like, this is the way, whether it's left or right, that they don't see the flaws on both sides. There is no perfect. There's absolutely no perfect. What we have is the option of deciding where we want to spend our time. I can help if you want me to. It would be a lot more entertaining to me than talking about celebrities or people that are living right now, because to be honest with you, I'm bored with all these people. So let me know what you think. I'm going to go because I can't handle it no more. Love you all for watching and have a wonderful weekend. Oh, and if you're a mom, happy Mother's Day. Love you. Bye. Bye to you too.